Bring that down. Back in my bag, I'm on my luck. The doubt that I had, you couldn't look. But now I'm with some new things with a new frame. Little baby trip, water, baby, new shade. No motion.
So y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Unbreakable Podcast with your girl, Destiny Payton, and my amazingly beautiful inside and out guest, Mrs. Dutchess, aka Christina,
aka your twin.
That part. Welcome to Huntsville.
Yes, my first time in Huntsville.
First of all, to little old Huntsville, and welcome to my podcast. Thank you for coming.
Having me.
Thank you for coming. So it's so crazy how we met.
Yes. I don't think people will. When people see us together, they think that we've known each other for years,
For decades.
So it was destined to be the way it is.
It was. So I remember we were in New Orleans.
Yep. Essence weekend.
And you came up to me. You was like, "Where I know you from?" And I'm like, "Same place I know you from." You're like, "No, for real. Stop playing with me." I'm like, "Oh, she really like this in real life." Stop playing with me. Know where I know you from? I'm like, "Same place I know you from." They're like, TV. Yes. And then it's crazy because I told you said person said you and I had the same eyes and we remind each other or twinning or whatever. And you said your mom said the same thing. Yep. How crazy is that? You found little old me because your mama said, "Hey, that girl look like you."
Yeah. And then we had a crazy, amazing day
in New Orleans.
It was
only a day.
Though. It was only one day. It seemed like it was the whole weekend.
It really did. I didn't even think about that. So New Orleans was interesting and fun.
Yes.
And you showed out at the restaurant.
No, y'all. Destiny showed out at the restaurant. Let me tell y'all.
Are you gonna tell the truth?
Let me tell y'all what had happened, okay? So we get to this restaurant. You remember the name of it? Mm-mm. I don't either. So we're on what's that street called? We're on Bourbon Street. And we go into this restaurant, and it's a wait. It's the last restaurant.
No, we're not gonna talk about how we needed security walking to the restaurant.
Oh well, the walk to the restaurant was very engaging and entertaining, to say the least. We was stopping traffic. People was chasing after us. It was a vibe. But finally, we got to the restaurant. Mm-hmm. When we get there, they got a crazy wait.
Yes, a line.
And now it's the only restaurant that's open this late because we done waited till the last minute to eat. Mm-hmm. And we not about to eat nothing. And then the lady recognizes us. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh, I got y'all a table. Don't worry." So now we getting
Thank you, favor.
Okay, thank you, favor. Now we getting the VIP treatment. The VIP treatment is very important, y'all. I'm telling you. It come in handy. It come in handy sometimes. So we get the VIP treatment. They give us a table. But unbeknownst to us, we got the table next to the most disgruntled guest that they got in the whole restaurant.
There were also fans, which was odd.
They was fans and mad. It was like, how do you balance that?
I don't know.
It was crazy.
I don't know. It ended up being a lot of cursing and a lot of...
No drinks were thrown.
No, because
we drank them.
We drank them. We only had one, actually.
We only had one that night.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a good night.
That was a really good night.
The food was decent.
I think more than anything, we got to know each other's personalities.
And that's what was more important than the experience. Yes.
And that we had the same food palette.
And we bonded. It was like a dope bonding moment.
It was.
Shout out to New Orleans.
Shout out to NO. And then I text you and I'm like, "Girl, I've been looking at all these places that keep popping up on my timeline. We need to go back to New Orleans and try this food."
Yes.
And you was like, "No, let's actually go multiple places and try food.
Yes, let's create a TV show."
I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yes. Okay. So y'all better stay tuned because
it's coming.
The dynamic duo is creating an amazing TV experience that y'all gonna love.
D squared is what they called us in
D squared.
Minneapolis.
That's us. That's us. D squared.
Listen, I'm excited about it because I like to eat.
I'm just worried about how much weight I'm gonna gain.
Now we gonna work out because you look.
I'm gonna try, but sometimes
you call me, you be like, "I'm in the gym. I'm leaving the gym."
You know what the problem is? When you start going like that,
it's hard.
It's not as easy to be consistent when you at home.
We need to put that in our rider.
So we're gonna have to make sure we got a good gym. Yes, they gotta have a good gym.
I'm ready to eat and do this. We got this. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be amazing.
So, what would you say your first impression was of me?
My first impression of you was, so the beauty of, I think, where we come from, I don't look at people based off of TV. I try not to even watch TV. So I've never watched the episode of my show. I've never watched the episode of your show. So I didn't have anything to base it off of. It literally was, okay, it's a pretty girl. She a vibe. We already seem to like get along right now. Let me see if this is an energy that I would want to coexist with. And it was just natural. It was natural. It was genuine. And I don't even know what people think about you. That's the probably good and bad part. So I don't know if they think, oh, she's this or she's that. I don't know that. All I know is we had an amazing energy, a great vibe, and we've been
the same
clicked ever since.
I agree. The same for you. The same for you. But I did say, okay, yeah, she is a little fiery. Okay, I like it. She like me. You are. It's funny, when we were at the restaurant, I kept thinking, she's saying the stuff that's on my face. Like, you know, my face talks, but you speak it.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my life coach about you, and I was like, I just wish that I had more words like you. Because a lot of times I won't say stuff, but you will see it on my face. And when I do say stuff, it's like, okay. And then it may get a little aggressive. But you just like, blah, 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 blah. This how I feel. This was going to happen. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm learning.
It took a long time for that.
Really?
A very long time.
What do you think changed it?
Therapy.
Let's normalize therapy. Let's do that.
Therapy changed it for me. As a child, I was very reclusive. Like I was very, I was an athlete. I love sports, but I didn't talk much or often. And I was a fighter.
Well, we do have that in common.
Okay, I had some really bad anger issues. So when I went through my therapy and I started understanding my healing, so I was raped and molested for 8 years of my childhood by my uncle. And that's what put me in a space of not being comfortable with telling people how I felt. Because nobody cared about how I felt.
So you spoke about it and nobody did anything?
Well, no. At the point of my childhood, I was scared to say anything because the things that he would say to me, it would make me feel like if I told somebody, it would be this or it would be that. Like it was a extreme manipulation and
mental abuse.
Very much so. That's kind of like how I started smoking weed. So my weed addiction is attached to my trauma, which this fast hopefully is going to take the weed away from me because I got to prove to myself that I don't need it. But as a child, I literally bottled everything up because I just felt like nobody cared. And I was so angry that I didn't know how to express myself except through excelling in school, excelling in sports, and being able to defend myself if somebody want to fight. Those was my three, in my mind, my three greatest attributes.
And they were your three coping mechanisms.
Absolutely. So once I went through therapy and I started realizing that even if no one else cares about how I feel, I have to care about how I feel. The only way I can care about how I feel is if you make me feel a way or if you do something, I have to be able to vocalize that. I got to be able to say something because if I don't, I'm not honoring myself. So now I'm in a space where I have to honor myself. I deserve everything that I deem necessary for myself. So I try to always say things. And I'm working on having a better, I won't even say a better approach, but I'll work on
buffer,
how I approach that release with certain energies because some people can't receive it the way that you might want to give it. So I'm trying to like tailor make that so that I can still honor myself but also be aware and receptive to somebody else's feelings too.
Yeah, that's where humanity comes in. You said a lot. That was a lot. So I'm actually trying to keep it together. Thank you for sharing and being open and vulnerable and being vocal because you don't know how much that inspired me. Now, people think I'm like, oh, she going to tell you how it is. But a lot I keep bottled in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I don't know how it's going to be received. And sometimes I don't care.
Yeah.
And when I don't care, sometimes it doesn't come across right. And so I have learned to kind of be quiet in the moments where I'm feeling some type of emotion that I really can't control. And that came from my current trauma, like dealing with domestic violence and all that stuff. But I also, and I don't know if I shared this with you, I've also experienced molestation myself multiple times with multiple people from the age of 3 on up to probably about 8.
Mine was from 5 to 13.
Maybe 9 or 10.
But it was the same person.
Yeah, mine wasn't. And I remember, I didn't even know this. I talked to my aunt about it because it happened to some of my cousins. And she was telling me, and I was like, well, that happened to me too. And she said, yeah, you told us. And I was like, I told y'all. What do you mean? She was like, yeah, you told us. When you always spoke your mind when you were a little girl. I didn't know because nobody did anything about it.
Right.
And this is, I thank God that this didn't happen to you and I, because I feel like, and I know we use this word so much, but I feel like a lot of narcissism comes from trauma that was unheard. So people have to figure out how to cope, and they become a person that doesn't live in reality. Mm-hmm. And so they force their world to be what they want it to be, no matter who it hurts or how it doesn't make sense. And so what do you think has brought you to this space of healing outside of therapy, that you are able even to speak about this?
I hate to give... I can't give that the credit because it's not that. It's the impact. Like when I'm out and I get to see how I have impacted women from, the opportunity of being exposed in TV, it made me feel like I was doing a disservice to myself and to so many other women that never had the opportunity to face their fears or be vocal about what they're going through or walk away from certain things that don't serve them. So when I'm on reality TV and I'm on this major platform, I'm just thinking about my impact on what am I doing and who am I impacting. And in those moments, I started seeing, I would go out, it would be a little girl, 4 or 5 years old. Oh my God, it's Dutchess. It could be a 72-year-old woman. Oh my God, it's Dutchess. When I started seeing that my impact stretches through all of those demographics, all of those age brackets, it made me realize that it would be a disservice for me to not use my trauma as my testimony, especially since I've dealt with facing it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It didn't break me. It built me.
It made you unbreakable.
Yes, it really did.
Yeah.
So in that sense of things, it was kind of like, dang, if I don't expose this to people, or people look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. Oh my gosh, she's so this. You would think she never, but to know what I really went through. And it's so crazy. I have locks because I wanted to be ugly. The things that people will be like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. These were the things that I did to myself. All the tattoos. I got my first tattoo at 15. I did all of these things to myself to try to make me ugly so that no other man would want to make me a victim again. So I did all of these things thinking that, oh, this is going to make me, ain't no dude want a girl with dreads. She look like a dude. She don't, I'm thinking these things. And in contrast, it's making me more attractive and more appealing.
And more of an anomaly.
But to a different demographic of men. And that's the part of it that I was grateful for. Because it's the type of man that would see me and want to victimize me is not the same man that finds beauty in the woman that I am now. They're intimidated by the woman that I am now. You feel me? Mm-hmm. But when you're a young girl, you're not thinking about all of these things. You're just trying to figure out a way. So this was my way. I got tattoos. I cut off all my hair. And I was like, I'm going to make myself ugly. So no other man is going to harass me or bother me or make me feel like I'm at his mercy.
Ooh, girl, you keep giving me a lot to unpack.
But you know what? The real thing for me is having these type of conversations. This is the stuff that we don't do. Mm-hmm. As women, we feel, for the longest for me, I felt ashamed. Oh. I felt like it was my fault. Oh. I felt like I asked for it when I was a How a 5-year-old child can ask for that?
Because people...
But you want to make yourself the reason, the blame.
Because you don't know any better.
You don't know no better.
You know any better. And then you don't understand because honestly and truthfully, I've read up on it. And yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I study psychology. But it's like, that's your first experience with pleasure. Mm-hmm. Even though you're a child. And so it's confusing.
As hell.
It's confusing. And so the process of understanding what it is, accepting what it is. I talked about domestic violence. I never really talked about the molestation part. But even forgiving yourself for thinking that it was your fault is a process because you don't even understand what it is.
Right. Even the domestic violence stuff. Me going through all those years of trauma as a child put me in a space to think that I deserved a certain level of treatment from a man. Mm-hmm. So I allowed that type of energy in my life for a long time. I remember being in college and this dude I dated, he pulled me out of my car by my hair and dragged me into my front porch. And I'm looking back at that, I'm like, how could I think that
was okay or normal?
How could I think that?
Trauma.
But it's the trauma. Mm-hmm. So I allow myself, even on TV. I'm on TV on a public platform engaged to a man who, I mean, look at his track record. Mm-hmm. I'm being verbally, mentally, emotionally, I'm being abused in every aspect of the word, but I'm not allowing myself to acknowledge that because I feel like, okay, well, I'm in this space. I just need to
cope.
And not only that, you kind of think that you're going to be the person that changes people.
Oh, Lord. I talk about that all the time.
But you can't.
No. And this is one of the things I actually said in a few of my other podcasts is that if the person that they are now is who they are forever, would you stay? And I remember my life coach saying that to me, and I'm like, oh, no, we're going to therapy, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and not realizing that none of that stuff matters if they don't want it. If they don't want to change, if they don't want to be better, if they don't even see what they're doing is wrong, you're just really hoping for something that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So you just said a lot. It's a lot to unpack. Thank you for sharing. I know I can only imagine. And some of it I have experienced, and being able to be in a space where I'm comfortable enough to talk about it and knowing and accepting that it was a part of my journey to be able to help somebody else. What helps you get to this space after so much trauma, after, trying to downplay who God had made you to be, which only made you greater? What helped you get here?
Honestly, healing. Like when you do the work, my healing made me feel like now my responsibility is helping somebody else heal. And can't nobody else heal if they don't know what's real with me. Like, how can a little girl who's experiencing what I experienced, how can she know that she can heal from it if she's never witnessed or heard nobody else say that they experienced it? Mm-hmm. So, our power is in our testimonies, but a lot of time we be so intimidated
or
by
shamed
the judgments of people that we feel like, okay, no, I'm gonna just keep that to myself, when most of the time when we open up, we find out that somebody else has experienced something basically the same.
And that's healing.
You feel me? And that in itself is healing, because then you don't feel like, dang, I'm all by myself. Mm-hmm. Like, we were never that. But in our minds, we kind of like seclude ourselves to feel like it's just us.
Because in those isolated moments, you feel like you're alone.
Yeah. Ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody wiping your tears. Ain't nobody stopping nothing. Ain't nobody. You do feel alone. But the reality of it is you always got you. Mm-hmm. And you always got God. I think God is what really helped me realize, like, I am more important and more valuable than what anybody else can put over my head. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't want people to use what I went through as a weapon.
And that's another thing that just came to me. Speaking your truth gives you your power back.
Yeah.
Because as you just said, nobody can use it against you.
Yeah.
I know somebody tried to. You had an experience with that with one of your castmates from Black Ink, right?
Yeah. They sold the story to the Shade Room.
What story?
They sold the story to the Shade Room about me being molested by my uncle, about my father having a child outside the marriage, Like anything in my personal family that was bad, they sold it to them and they did this whole story. And in that moment, I ain't gonna front. At that time, I was a different person.
You were healing.
I was healing. I wasn't healed at all. And I'm just so grateful that God gave me grace to just be still. Like I realized, like, and this is so real. I promise you, I didn't believe this when my mama used to tell me this every day when I would be home and I'm fired up, I'm mad. They done watch the episode of the show and they talking about me again and they on social media talking about me. And mind you, ain't nobody checked on me or know nothing about what's going on in my life, but they're using my image and my likeness to tear me down. And my mama used to always say, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Watch how God take it. God gonna take everything that the devil throw at you and he gonna turn it around for your good. And I'd be like, no, he ain't. She said, he gonna make your enemies your footstool. And I'm like, Ma, God done forgot about me. You know how we have those moments where we questioning God?
Because it's so much coming.
And literally, it did not happen right then.
Right.
It didn't happen within the year.
We wanted to be on our time.
It happened when I was past it. When I had already done the work, I've healed myself. I've gone through so much and I put myself through the healing process. Once I get to a level of peace in my process, that's when God started exposing people.
Well, you know, he couldn't have done it when you weren't. Because then you would have been like, yep, I told you so.
When I tell you, everything is in divine timing. It really is. But we be so in our own way.
Ooh.
That we want it to be how we want it to be. We want
when we want it to be.
The microwave mentality. And I'm so glad that God literally allowed me to move through it the way that I did, because I still have my face with no smudges. You know, like nobody can say that I'm this type of woman or that type of woman, because I'm a woman of valor, of honor, with grace, with class. And I've demonstrated that. Even going through that dark space, I still didn't allow the darkness to make me dark. I still held on to my light amidst that storm. So that's one thing that I'm so grateful for.
That are on my heart? Why are you speaking for me?
You're my twin.
No, seriously, because I know as I was going through my storm, you don't know anything about the reality experience that I had, but people just not being truthful with my name, my character, my likeness, my light, all of that. And me wanting to like, no, that's not true. Like, but I was always taught that you sit back and you let God do his work. But it's hard when you have reality TV, social media, you have these bloggers,
the trolls, the bloggers, good God almighty,
and not real journalists, but the bloggers, and you have journalists, and you have people that are really looking to try to find clickbait, even if it's your character and name that's being lied on and tarnished. So that was really, really, really difficult for me. And I realized too, in dealing with this type of world, is that I was taught if you don't feed it, it doesn't grow, right?
I was never taught that.
I was. And in the process of this type of world, reality TV, social media being as big as it is, what happens is other people start trying to make it grow. And people don't sometimes think through the process of what folks are saying. They automatically take it as gold. And that's why I'm one thing glad that you said when you met me, you didn't know anything about me. You didn't judge me about being on TV, because you didn't really, even if you did see it, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what it is. You know it could have been a whole production.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's the other thing about the world we come from. People are consumed by reality TV and not knowing that it's barely reality. It's instigating. And mind you, when we're on set and they're instigating and doing all this stuff,
real.
It's real. It is real for us, because
in
we're
that moment.
in it.
I call it the social experiment.
We don't know that somebody's behind the scene pulling strings like a puppet, filling this person's head with these thoughts, telling this person that. And they're eating it up. You might not be eating it up, but they're eating it up with a spoon, so that the next time they interact with you, now they on the defense. And you trying to figure out why.
Where the heck did this
And now
come
you trying to
from?
defend yourself, because in that moment, that's all you have. So it's a real serious double-edged sword.
Well, I'm going to be real honest with you. I really didn't watch Black Ink. I really didn't. I've seen some episodes, but I really didn't watch it. But I'll tell you the moment that I remember the most from maybe the handful of episodes that I watched was you walking away.
Yes.
And I vaguely remember it, but I remember it. And I was like, what?
Y'all, let me tell you, I've never told this story. Oh, God, I might get in trouble. I don't care. I can't care. When I left, that whole day, VH1, Big Fish, the production company, the producers, they did a whole lot. I'm talking about, they did a whole lot. They flew my brother and sister in. They paid a girl to say that C's was pregnant by her. I'm just praying that I get my brother and sister out of New York before I have to deal with any of this foolishness. Because we country folk. We not no city folk. My brother and sister, my brother had came to New York. He had came to New York to visit me prior to that. But my sister, this was her first time on a plane. And then coming to New York, a city she's never been to. So I'm dealing with those things just with my family. And I'm like, God, what are you saying to me? And my brother and my sister are there. And they're telling me, we did a tattoo. And I don't even think this tattoo made the cut on the show. That's why people, it's so crazy that they miss out on so much.
Oh, I talk about that too.
They don't know what's real. So I'm sitting there with my sister and my brother, and we're doing a semicolon tattoo on. I tattooed both of them, and then I tattooed myself. And I put a semicolon on my hand. And that semicolon was supposed to symbolize that it's a continuation, that life goes on after this. Because I was feeling like this was it. And I gotta be here. I gotta be stuck. So I made the decision right then and there. After I'm hearing my sister and my brother talk to me, and these are people that looked up to me, I'm the oldest. And they asking me like, how could you let this, why would you let people treat you like this? Like, you don't deserve this. And I'm like, dang, because I ain't been around no family. I ain't been surrounded by no love. I've been surrounded by the energy of reality TV and people that want to
create a moment.
You feel me? This is who I've been around. So I'm around a bunch of fake ass people, to say lack of a better word. Now I'm around some people that really love me, that really care, and now it's hitting me different.
The wool is being pulled from over your eyes.
I packed up all my stuff that I could take. I couldn't take but 2 suitcases. The apartment was in my name. I packed up 2 suitcases. Do you know last year was the first year I've been back to New York since I left that?
Wow.
I'm talking about,
how many years has that been?
8 years. I left the furniture. I left a fully furnished. I called my landlord. I paid the lease up because I knew C's wasn't going to do it. And I wasn't going to let him mess up my credit. So I paid the lease up. And I told my landlord at the end of the lease, when he move out, because I'm already leaving. At the end of the lease, when he move out, you can keep all of the furniture in there. Do whatever you want to with it. I left with 2 suitcases. I wrote a Dear John letter. And I still got the screenshot of the Dear John letter, because I told myself I need to read this so I know I'll never in my life be in a position like this again. And I left that ring sitting right on the Dear John letter. I ain't even take the ring with me. And I just walked away. And when I walked away, first off, the production didn't know what to do. Because I'm like, I want a flight and I'm going home. And they're like, you can't leave. Y'all can't tell me what. I'm a grown-ass human. Like, what? I'm not staying here another day. I left. They put me in a hotel in Jersey. Because they thought I was going to change my mind. They did not want me to get out of there. I was ready to leave on that day. They changed they gave me a flight for the following day. I called the airline and moved the flight up because I wasn't playing. And I got up out of there. And I left with my head held high, and I left with a piece that nobody could take away from me. And I was scared to death because I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm in a TV contract, but I'm choosing me in my real life. Like, forget the TV stuff. This is my real life. And I left. And when I left, I did not know that it was going to help so many other women see that they can leave whatever they're going through too. I hear that every day of my life. That's why I know God used me. God really used me because I got a 501c3 called Beat Yourself Beautiful. And it's called Beat Yourself Beautiful because I want everybody to be able to deal with their insecurities so nobody else can tear you down with them. When men can tear us down with our insecurities, we stay stuck. We stay in that space because we don't even feel worthy that somebody else would care about us in a different way than the person that's breaking you down and minimizing you to nothing. So I created that organization, and I've helped over 700 women either walk away from domestic violence, young girls with sexual abuse, young girls, teen moms that their parents put them out and they ain't have nowhere to go. Like, God used me in such a profound way that if that was what it was for, I'm okay. And I wasn't okay with it at first. I went through 7 suicide attempts through reality TV. I never knew what it felt like to be hated.
Ooh.
When I was in high school, middle school, elementary, I was top 10 of my senior class. My daddy was the first black firefighter of my hometown. I sung on the choir, National Honor Society, Beta Club, captain of the cheerleading squad, captain of the basketball team, state champion in track. These was my accolades. So I never knew what it felt like to be hated. Coming from small town Lincolnton, North Carolina, everybody gonna love you when you represent all of those things. But now I'm in an environment where people hate me because of those things. So now I'm sitting here like, dang, I'm being hated because of the good things that I have accomplished. So none of the girls on the show liked me. Oh, she thinks she better than everybody else. She thinks she this. No, I'm just proud.
And you should be for all of the things that you accomplished and who you are. So you said a lot of profound things. One, you started a 501c3. I have started one too called the Unbreakable. And it's for women that have experienced domestic violence as well as women that or people that have experienced divorce, because I know you haven't been married yet, but it's coming if you want it. Because you definitely are wifey material.
Hey.
And mommy material too.
Hey.
But I was lost. Like, I didn't know the process of divorce. I didn't know, like, make sure this is good, make sure your kids are protected. I didn't know all of that. And in my experience, I want to make sure that what I went through, nobody else has to go through. And then you said, too, you were all of these things. You were, and I'm sitting here listening to you. I was on the track team. I was in the Honor Society. I was a French class president. All those things. So even though I had haters, now I ain't gonna hold you. In high school,
I mean, I might have had a couple, but they ain't
on that level.
Yeah, they ain't do nothing.
Not on that level. Not on the level that you experience when you have people coming in your inbox attacking your family, your child,
calling your business,
calling your bit. That's crazy.
That took me to another place.
That's crazy to me. And then you said, your experience with having and being successful. And then it's funny, we talked about this. We both were engineer majors, super cool geeks.
Yes. Yes, we were.
Cool geeks. And then having just being a scholar and an athlete, and then going into a world where you're being an artist and you're dating someone and your life is public and you're on reality TV and you're giving yourself your real life experiences, and then you're being attacked for who you are. And some of it that's being represented that's not really the whole you.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of it is then you try to keep yourself in a sane space, keep yourself happy, and you're sometimes questioning yourself like, wait a minute.
Like, am I?
Yeah. And you never had those thoughts before.
No.
And you survived 7 suicide attempts. That ain't nothing but God.
When I tell you.
That ain't nothing but God.
It's this lady, a good friend of mine. Her name is Charity Washington. I literally love her so much because I had a penthouse condo at this building downtown in Charlotte. And you got a penthouse. You got the doorman. Ain't nobody coming up unless they call you and all of this. So I'm like going through it and I'm like, I don't want nobody to come up. Don't let nobody come up. Now, Charity is a beautiful woman. Body on 10,000, okay? I don't know what she did to make my doorman. She probably just batted her eyes at him. And he was like, I'll let you up. She comes up. She don't even know it. I'm laying in the bed with a gun. I'm literally ready to go. Right then and there, she banging on my door. I'm like, who is at my door? And I told this doorman not to let nobody up. Man, she came up in my house. We prayed for hours.
And what does charity mean?
It changed my whole life.
The meaning of the word charity.
Yeah.
Is what helped save you.
Yes. Now, mind you, Charity is nothing like me. No tattoos. She don't curse. She don't drink. She don't smoke weed. I ain't never had a friend like this. I ain't never been friends with a friend like this. Like, never. So it was really...
God.
It was God. Mm-hmm. It was God. And I tell her to this day, like, you don't know, girl. She don't even... I'm sure she do, but... Yeah. God sent her on that day. That was probably... the day, like some of the other attempts, you know, and it's messed up and insensitive for me to say this, but I can say this after surviving. If you really want to die, you gonna die.
I've said that before.
If you really want to die, you gonna die. If you playing with yourself in the thought, you're not gonna die. And a lot of times people play with those thoughts, and I'm just so grateful that God delivered me from that space and that he allowed me to have a level of restraint so that I could make it through those attempts. Because I thought I wanted to die. One time I said, God, I just don't want to be here no more. I was cursing God. I was mad as a rattlesnake. And God showed me how real he was. I had a car accident. And I almost died in it. I got stuck in the car. I had to be cut out with the jaws of life. And in that moment, I'm like, oh, God about to answer your prayers. You said you wanted up out of here.
And then you got scared.
And then I got scared. And then I started realizing,
I want to live.
I don't want to. I don't want to die. Like, I need to be here. It's a reason. And all of those things, like, I ain't gonna front. Man, God done showed up and showed out on me a couple times where I was like, and I was so undeserving.
No.
I was so undeserving how I would talk, how I would question God. That's why I know he's so real and he's so forgiving. Because I literally did not deserve for him to put his hands on me.
Yes, you did.
For him to touch
all
my
God's
life
children
like that.
do. Even the ones that we have had our experiences with, good and bad, everybody deserves it. And that's why we are always forgiven, because that's what we're here for. Yeah. And we're also supposed to be able to be the same beacon of light to other people.
Absolutely.
As hard as it is to want to forgive, but to move on and be able to build a better you and a better life.
You know what the hardest thing to do is to forgive your damn self.
I was just about to say that.
If you forgive you, it's easy to forgive everybody else.
You got to start there
But you got to start there first. And that was one of the things that I was like.
But accepting and taking ownership is also hard. So a lot of times, first of all, you can't get to forgiveness when you won't accept what it is.
No.
Or you won't acknowledge that that's what it is.
That's what it is, yeah.
So you've done the work. You really have done the work. That's why, okay, twin.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see where we at now. So let's talk about how you left reality TV, packed all your bags, and checked the deuces, like, hey, I'm out of here, which was very powerful. I experienced something like that myself this last year.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you move back home, and you open up your own tattoo shop.
Yeah.
How was that ride,
My baby.
Your baby.
I ain't gonna lie.
First, let's plug it.
Oh, Pretty and Ink. Pretty and Ink is my tattoo shop, y'all. It is my baby. It's a gift and a curse, though. The pandemic is what really hit me hard. Because, you can't
touch people.
You can't touch people. So I had to pay bills for a business that I could not have open for almost 2 years. Exhausting all types of my savings.
Listen,
to hold on to
why
it.
do we always have the same experience? I opened my beauty supply store 13 or 14 days before COVID hit. And we didn't know really what to do. Yes. And I had already paid for 6 months through the build out. So here we are in the thick of a pandemic where this is not what was it? It had to be a necessity or something like that. And then I'm pregnant. So I'm 4 months pregnant, so I'm not even wanting to be outside.
Right.
So I almost for a year paid for a space. So I understand.
When I tell you.
It's hard to get your money back when you can't even have
What?
the option to make it back.
What? Yeah. So I'm grateful that I have Pretty in Ink, but I ain't gonna front. I don't know. I think God is taking me to different places. I don't know how long I'm gonna be. I don't know how long I'm gonna have Pretty in Ink, just because I feel like maybe it has run its course. I want to do other things, and I want to really be an impact, and I want to really do stuff. Doing tattoos, I still love that, but it's not my primary anymore.
You would do it just because you want to do it, not because it's something
necessity.
That you,
Exactly. So for me now, I love having a shop in a space where other artists that look like us can have a dope vibe to create their art in. But other than that, I'm not really that attached to it as I used to be. But it's been one of the best things that I could have ever did for myself.
So how do you, and I talk a lot about being an entrepreneur, being a Black woman, and having your own business and living life and being able to deal with just life itself. What has your experience as an entrepreneur been?
A roller coaster.
Keep it 100, because people think that it is a popcorn. You rich, you do this, you do that. Yeah,
it's broke days. It's days where you feel broken. It's a roller coaster, and it's some moments where everything is just amazing, and you don't got no cares, no worries in the world. But if you're not willing to take the low of the low, you ain't gonna be able to take the high with the high. And you gotta really be able to balance what that emotion feels like when you're a business owner, because it's not always low and it's not always high. But it's understanding that balance and operating in those, those valleys and those troughs, just getting through it. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they think that it's gonna be easy because it's something that they love. But everybody don't love what you love.
That's the truth.
So, you just gotta maintain that level of love for it, but also have a level of understanding that you are the only person who has that love for it. It's yours. It's just like,
and the vision that you have, God only gave it to you, so nobody else can really see it
at all.
Speaking of things that I feel like are visions and things that I love about you and all of that, outside of just you being you. So yeah, you gave me this amazing jar of, I don't know, like it was a little jar of heaven. It's a little jar of heaven, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, I find myself lathering with this beautiful jar of heaven, and then I fall asleep, and less than an hour later, I'm waking up like, what is that? And it woke me up out of my sleep. The aroma, the scent of whatever you had given to me in this jar of heaven. And I need it. I need some more.
Make me cry.
No, I'm serious.
This weekend has been such a test with Skin Deep. Skin Deep,
the jar of heaven is Skin Deep, y'all. Just I'm not, and my shameless plug is because I want some more of it. But I was like, so when we were getting ready to leave Minneapolis, I was like, you didn't give me any. She's like, yes, I did. I'm like, no, you didn't. You didn't give me. And she's like, I did give you some. So as I am 3 days later scraping the jar, like, can I get some more?
I got you. You got a lifetime supply.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you heard that. Y'all heard that. I got a lifetime supply of Skin Deep.
Yes.
This amazing, I don't know what it is. It's heaven in a jar.
That's my new baby. So Skin Deep was birthed in the pandemic because of my nephew. Has really bad, like eczema, psoriasis type of vibe. Start doing my research. Start just looking up stuff. Doctors want to put you on all of these medications and you're a kid. So I'm like, nah, we're going to find a holistic way to do this. So I just started doing my research and I start creating this product. And then lo and behold, the product is good for so many other things. It's a tattoo ointment. It's a skin moisturizer. It's
heaven in a jar.
It's heaven in a jar.
I just made it up.
And it's so many people that it has changed their life. And I'm not thinking about it like that. I'm thinking about it as this is just something that I wanted to create so that my nephew could have a, you know what I'm saying?
You know, the best things are birthed out of places like that.
So this past weekend, I go to Invest Fest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at all prepared.
Mm.
I ain't have no flyers. I ain't have no cards. All I had was my jars. Every person that got Skin Deep come back to me that weekend. And I'm not pouring into it because I don't think that it's worth it.
You're worth it. That's where it starts, first and foremost. And the love that you put into that little jar woke me up out of my sleep.
I'm going to tell you the funny part. People be like, you make this? Because I know we being who we are, people just outsource, or people come to you and they say, oh, endorse this product. Or we want to
white label.
label. I make this myself. Nobody helps me.
And I remember talking to you, was like, I don't know if I'm going to Invest Fest because I'm not even finished making this batch. And
Girl,
I got to do all of this. And I'm like,
yes.
Let me know if you need some help.
When I tell you I've done this all by myself, and that's why I feel like it's
you haven't done it by yourself because I said it's a little jar of heaven. So God had ordained.
God orchestrated the whole thing. He orchestrated the whole thing. I can't even front. But to see how impactful it's been for people has really been like, it's been messing me up for the last week because I didn't know that what I had was this. I had a young black guy come to our booth Friday, and he showed me his hand. He had really bad eczema. And I'm like, I want you to try this. The next day, he sends me a video. He's a content creator, a videographer rather. He sends me a video of him just like applying it, doing all of this, doing all of that, Within 2 days, he comes back to the booth, shows me the video, shows me his hands, and he's damn near crying. He's like, I've never seen my skin look like this. Like, I'm thinking it's nothing because it's just your skin. But people who have really bad issues with this, people have abused them. It's just like Beat Yourself Beautiful. This is an insecurity that someone has really like demeaned this man with. And I'm sitting here like, a jar of this stuff has him feeling.
And you know I'm gonna beat you up because the first time you told me about it, I'm like, okay, but I was like, yeah, I keep having this little issue. I'm gonna send you some of my stuff, and I'm like, okay. But now that I know, I'm on you. I'm on you even harder. I'm on you.
Girl, I turned down Target.
I know.
I couldn't do it. So
Target,
now
call me.
So now
call
my
me, Target.
prayer.
I got you, Target. Where the camera? I got you, Target. I'm gonna get.
Now my prayer is that God gives me the resources to be able to make it as available to as many people. I done sold 20,000 jars with no website, no marketing, no promo, nothing but word of mouth. I got dialysis centers that carry my product. I have a spa in Nigeria. From me just going to Nigeria, getting a massage, and I'm asking the lady, well, can you use my stuff? And she like, oh, no, I'm trying to use your stuff on all the people. So God just been opening up windows for me to see that it could be something different, but now I need him to give me the resources to allow it to be that great.
And so it is.
So that's what my prayer is now.
And as bright as your light shines, whatever you put in that jar, that I got a lifetime supply of. I don't know how big. Can I just get a big jar? And then when maybe like a year's worth of, I don't know. And then I'll call you when I need some more. Yeah. But anyway, seriously, I really love you. So I know if you're putting you into that, it's going to continue to be great. So you continue to be great. And you continue to believe that you're worthy of any and everything that you deserve. That is great. Amen. You're what? Say it loud.
Because I'm unbreakable, baby.
Period. Everything that you've been through and you sitting here shining, you are absolutely a beacon of what unbreakable means. And I thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. You got me anytime you need me. You know that. Anytime.
Listen, the fact that you're here right now, dealing with the storms that you have been dealing with, I'm just grateful.
I'm with family.
So not only are we working on our own TV show, and
D squared,
amen. You have left the reality world and actually gotten behind the camera, and you've had some major productions produced. And tell us a little bit more about that.
I think that when we get to be in control of the content we create, we get to tell relevant stories.
Unbreakable.
You feel me? Like, being on reality TV, we don't have no control. It's somebody else that don't look like us that's controlling everything. So that's why Ambitious Daydreams was created. That's the name of my production company. We got a movie on Tubi called False Advertisement. We also have another movie that we're in post-production on right now, and 2 lifestyle reality shows that we're in post-production for. And I just love the fact that we're outside of the box of control. Like, these are Black beautiful people telling Black beautiful stories the way that we deem it necessary. Like, people think that we like all that ratchet and all that negativity. That's just a part of life.
Absolutely.
Every race of people goes through those things.
Absolutely.
We're just the race that they hone in on and magnify it like it's all us.
Shucking and jiving.
You feel me? So I just want to show people that we can have amazing content, and it doesn't have to be about, you know, the ratchet realities of what people think Black people are. We melanin magic, and we melanin magicians. And the fact that we are that, the things that we create are magical. And that's what makes them so afraid of us. So that's why I love being able to create our
podcast,
stuff.
girl. That's a whole nother podcast. But I will say, when we did our, what would you say? Was it a pilot?
Our sizzle.
Our sizzle in Minneapolis. It was magical.
It was very magical.
It was
so organic.
That was supposed to go wrong.
And it all just rolled right into place.
And I was like, oh, this feels good. This is, it's not even, it's not, one of the
things
forced. It's not contrived.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just flows. We had, y'all, our show is going to be so bomb. It's good energy and good food. How can you go wrong with that?
That part. Listen. Thank you again for being amazing. Thank you again for being a creative and sharing you and your creativity with the world.
Thank you for giving us a platform to share.
Hey, Unbreakable. Thank y'all for joining us for Unbreakable. This is my girl, the Dutchess. I call her Christina because that's her real name.
Hello.
But thank y'all for joining us, and make sure you check out how can they find you.
So y'all can find me on all platforms at Dutchess of Ink. And my shop is at Pretty in Ink 704. And my production company is at Ambitious Daydreams. And Skin Deep is SKYN. Skin Deep. Yeah.
Lifetime supply. Thank y'all for joining us, and y'all tune in for the next episode of Unbreakable.